see it right through. I said, excuse me, you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop out, bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up. Snooze on the kid that you dumb or what? You better go get your numbers up. And that's really on God, getting paid for this shit while I drink on the job. They so desperate for some clicks to the links on they blog. Being real, man, it's nothing but exhaust. Come on, I said, excuse me, please. Why they speak like they knew me? Right from the gate, I had all of it written. When they speak of grace, knowing they didn't include me. It took me a while, I weathered the storm. Bitch, why you hating? Get better informed. No room to slip when the pressure is on. You wasn't with it to move it along. I said, excuse me, you don't understand where I'm at. I was all around the world, on span, cross the map. I've been laying low and now it's time to pop out. Bitch, I'm back. Now I'ma run it up.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wilding in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gonna be our year. We're here drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring. Yeah.
Rebounds, a Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans by fans.
This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast. I'm Calvin. He's Barry. Tonight we're breaking down an unfortunate 122-114 loss for the Kings at, I almost said Staples Center, the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Crazy game tonight, Barry.
Really crazy. But we're going to jump right here into your nightcap. We're here, we're drinking beers, and we're talking about your Sacramento Kings. If you're a Kings fan, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. Calvin and I put out fresh Kings content almost every single day. But this is your Sacramento Kings nightcap. Oh, man, Modelo. It's hitting good tonight. So before we jump right in here, I want to give a quick shout out to G-Man. I know he's in COVID protocols right now. The voice of the Kings since they moved to Sacramento. Shout out. Hopefully he gets better soon.
Yeah, get well soon.
All right, Cal. So we got to see 85-year-old LeBron James tonight putting up 85 points.
Sure doesn't look 85.
Threes, playing center. Not even jumping for the ball at the start, but we did get to see a jump ball
for the ball at the end.
Him late in the game. It is wild. You want to give us your first thoughts?
I mean, this was an exciting game to watch. 22, 23 lead changes. The Kings were in this game the whole way, despite, again, turnover problems and poor defense. I give a shout out to Damian Jones. He did the best that he could in that matchup against LeBron James. That was definitely not an easy night for him by any means. Kings shot well. They did everything offensively they needed to do to win this game. But again, turnovers and bad defense. That's the reason they lost this game. A lot of people are going to point to the jump ball call at the end or the offensive foul, the illegal screen on Damian Jones.
Or
because when it's in a close game like that, you tend to point out those calls or whatever that could go either way as being, bigger than they really are. But when you really get down to brass tacks, it's turnovers and not being able to stop the initial drive. That's what lost this game for the Kings.
Yep. So Lakers defeat the Sacramento Kings 122-114 tonight. Oh, man, it really pains me to say that. LeBron James playing incredible once again. I saw a stat tonight. LeBron is averaging 35 and 10 since AD has been out. He started at center tonight, 31 points for him. We got to see our old friend Trevor Ariza start for the Lakers tonight. 18 minutes for him, a big 0 for points.
Yep.
Kings roll out the usual starting lineup. now with Damian Jones at the 5 because Rashawn is still out. We got to see Marvin Bagley start again. He tied his career high with 12 rebounds tonight. You know, Kings led through 2 quarters in this game. They finished the first quarter and the second quarter with the lead, or with a lead, even though the Lakers were able to go on some runs in this game. The Lakers had a 9-0 run in the first quarter. They had another run in the third quarter, 8-0 run. A lot of threes in this game. Malik Monk always seems to step up big.
He's having an amazing season
for this team. I love Malik Monk, man. I really wish the Kings would have drafted him. They had 2 first-round picks the year they took Fox. They could have taken Monk as well.
I think he's been the most valuable new addition to their team this year. Carmelo's played really well, but outside of that, Malik Monk has been much, much better than expected for the Lakers this season.
And that's the luxury of being one of these teams that's competing for a championship, where you can attract guys and get guys like this for basically nothing.
Yeah.
We saw, I got to tell you, this is a pretty exciting game. Other than the ending, I was pretty disappointed with, but I had a lot of fun watching this game. Marvin Bagley was playing great until I saw him go to the locker room with maybe a thumb injury. I didn't see him.
He's been dealing with a right thumb injury for a couple weeks now. I'm not sure if that was the same thumb, but
I didn't see him come back from that. I saw some great plays from Davion Mitchell, both on the offensive and defensive end of the floor. He was showing us his floater. He was making some floaters today, which was pretty cool. And then in that fourth quarter, LeBron and Buddy going back to back. LeBron hits a 3, Buddy hits a 3, LeBron hits a 3, Buddy hits another 3. That was pretty incredible.
It was, as I think it was Mike here in the chat said, his tryout for the Lakers tonight looked pretty good. It went pretty well.
That's funny. The microwave monk, Brian Thompson. Yeah, I heard a good nickname for Buddy Hield tonight, Buddy Ball Game. I mean, you can only say that after a game winner, but
yeah,
I like that, Buddy Ball Game. We also got to see Harrison Barnes get elbowed in the face by LeBron James.
Yes.
Putting his body.
He did spin into his elbow, but I guess he got elbowed in the head by him, yeah.
I want to talk about the end of this game, but I'm going to hold off on that for a little bit because it's exciting and there's a lot to talk about. But before we jump into the box score tonight, I want to hear your keys to the game.
Well, my keys to the game tonight were take advantage of turnovers. The Lakers are 28th in the league in turnovers. They turn it over almost 16 times a game.
They didn't
do that today.
They only had 2 turnovers going like into the third quarter. I think one turnover.
I think one. They ended with 5 for the game. And the Kings turned it over 18 times. The Lakers had 21 points off of those 18 turnovers. Key number 2 was no easy buckets. The Lakers are a poor free throw shooting team. They were okay, 13 of 20. Kings were 14 of 18, so they did a little bit better in that regard. And we would have liked to have seen the Lakers miss a few more free throws down at the end there, but they did not, unfortunately. And then the last they tried. Last key was live by the 3, die by the 3. These are 2 teams that shoot basically the same percentage from 3. I think they're 21st and 22nd in the NBA. The Kings won this battle tonight. They shot 41% from 3, over 50% from the field. Those are games that the Kings normally win. Not tonight, though. When you have almost 20 turnovers in a game and you get out-rebounded like they did, especially on the offensive glass, Dwight Howard really changed this game.
Definitely.
I was actually shocked that the Lakers didn't start him coming out of the locker room to start the second half because in the first quarter, the Kings, they weren't playing great defense, but they were forcing the Lakers to be jump shooters. And we saw LeBron really struggle from 3 early on. Westbrook continued to throw up bricks over and over again. They did houses. Yeah, they did a great job of forcing the Lakers into jump shots in the first quarter. They shot very poorly, and as a result, the Kings built a first quarter lead. Dwight Howard comes into the game. They completely changed their style of play. It's all about pick and roll, getting to the basket, easy shots inside. Dwight Howard had a bunch of offensive rebounds, second chance opportunities, and the game was really never the same from that point on.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I really like Damian Jones. You know, we talked about a lot of positives of his game. But one thing I don't think he's very good at is rebounding against bigger guys. And I think we saw that tonight. You know, he's starting center, only 4 rebounds tonight. Dwight Howard didn't even start. He had 14.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. And LeBron James didn't have a lot of rebounds either. And, you know, you guys might hate me for this, but I got to give a shout out to LeBron. Like, he took this game over in the fourth quarter. Amazing player. You know, it pains me to say that. You know, I've been a LeBron fan for a really long time. I did not know he was going to end up on the Lakers. I still hate the Lakers, but you know, I'm a pretty loyal guy. You know, I like the Kings. I like LeBron. Don't like how he's on the Lakers.
Yeah.
I hate playing against him. But you got to give credit where credit's due. He had an incredible game, and this is his 19th season.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, at some point you have to take a step back. Obviously, this loss hurts for many reasons, because of the way the game ended, because it's the Lakers, all that stuff. But we're not going to have much longer to be able to watch LeBron James play basketball. And I know people say all they want about LeBron and the whining and complaining and all that stuff and how it takes away from the game. And I agree, he does complain too much, but that doesn't change the fact that he's an incredibly special basketball player, and I've always enjoyed watching him play.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree there. And I think we're going to see him pass Karl Malone on the all-time points list pretty soon here. Maybe this year.
Yeah, it could happen this year.
If he keeps it up. All right,
if
Cal.
Anthony Davis continues to not play, it will definitely happen this year.
Yeah. Let's you want to jump in the box score?
Let's do it. Well, De'Aaron Fox had another fantastic game tonight. Really unfortunate the Kings couldn't capitalize on it. 30 points, 6 assists. Did have 4 turnovers, including that really costly one at the end, but he was very efficient, 12 of 21 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He just played a flat-out really, really good game. Tyrese struggled offensively tonight, only 3 of 10 shooting the ball. Everything was short for him. 7 points, 9 assists, though, still making plays for others. Damian Jones, 11 points and 4 rebounds in his second straight start. And Harrison Barnes, 14 points, 3 of 6 from 3. Buddy Hield, again, big game off the bench, 26 points, 8 of 18 from the field, 7 of 13 from 3. In the second quarter, I kind of thought, oh, man, here we go. He's obviously feeling himself. He was just throwing shots up left and right. He wasn't hitting a bunch of them at that point, and I thought this is the point where Buddy Hield starts to decline, and we see the demise of Buddy Buckets. But he came back in that second half, fourth quarter particularly, played really, really huge. I mean, without him, the Kings wouldn't have even been close in this game. They would have lost by double digits easily.
Yeah, also got to give a shout-out to Malik Monk. 6 threes for him tonight, 24 points. I'm a big Malik Monk fan. I really like this game.
Talon Horton-Tucker, too, really killed the Kings with his physicality.
Yep.
I thought he could have been whistled for a couple more charges in the game. But that being said, he got to his spots. He's a difficult guy to guard for these Kings players who aren't nearly, don't have the same type of size in terms of weight and strength that this guy does. Yeah, pretty incredible game tonight. There's not many games where you will see De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield combine for 56 points. The team will shoot 51.8% from field goal range and over 40% from three-point range and lose the game. Yeah. Just it almost never happens.
Crazy. And I mean, 114 is a lot, but with all those statistics, you think that they would have 120 tonight.
Well, that's where the turnovers come in.
Yep.
At one point in the second or third quarter, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the second, but the Lakers had outshot the Kings, just field goal attempts, something like 17-5 with like 4 minutes left in the quarter. So if you can't even get shot attempts up, then you're obviously not going to score points. Yep.
And a little bit of help from the referees always helps as well. Man, what do you think of HB tonight?
I liked what I saw from him. You know, I think everybody wants Harrison Barnes to be kind of the guy that we saw very early on in the season, where he's scoring like 20 points a game. But if Fox is scoring like he's scoring and Haliburton is really coming on as an offensive player, the Kings aren't going to have 3 guys average 20 a game. That's just not going to happen. First of all, they turn the ball over too much. Second of all, they don't shoot consistently well enough from 3 to get that many points consistently in a game from 3 guys. So for him to stay in this, 14 to 17, 18 range, I think is great. He's still going to give you solid defense, rebounding, and the key is going to be the outside shooting, which he's shot much, much better as of late. If he checks all of those boxes, he's doing everything that I would expect from him for the Kings to be successful.
Yeah, I like the game he had tonight. I saw him make a couple threes. He was feeling it. He was playing good. But as you mentioned, Fox played really incredible in this game. 19 points.
I think this was his best game of the season, honestly.
Yeah.
I really do.
And one thing that I really noticed, the difference in De'Aaron Fox that I've noticed just over the past week or so, is that he's being more aggressive and he's getting to the basket, but he's not trying to get a call. He's worried about making the layup. Where it seemed like a lot of times earlier in the season, he was going to the basket, trying to make contact and get a call. Mm-hmm. And, maybe that's not on him. Maybe that's coaching staff that's like, De'Aaron, I want you shooting this many free throws a game. You got to get to the line. You got to get to the line. But, getting to the line is only a byproduct of making the right move or the right decision and getting to the basket. But when you're getting to the basket, you got to make that, or you got to at least try and make that bucket. That's the main goal. A foul is like a consolidation prize, in my opinion, because even sometimes you make the bucket and you get the foul and you get to add one. So one thing, or a major difference that I've seen from him recently, is that he's not looking to get the foul. He's looking to go to the basket and get the layup. And I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that everyone has been really critical with De'Aaron Fox for this season is his defense. All the analytics and the numbers show that when De'Aaron is on the court, the Kings score more points, but they allow far more. When he's off the court, they score obviously a little bit less, but they're a much more solid defensive team statistically. Mm-hmm. Tonight, his plus minus was, where are we here? Oh, wow, that fourth quarter really killed it. He had a plus 12, I think, going into the fourth quarter, ends up with a -1 tonight. But, I liked his what my biggest criticism of him defensively this year has been is not contesting or not committing 100% defensively. He reaches too much, tries to get these lucky, easy turnovers, deflections, rather than moving his feet. Tonight, I saw him move his feet really, really well. The Kings as a team were terrible in the pick and roll. They were terrible stopping the initial drive. But I thought De'Aaron's effort was better tonight than what it's been for the average this season.
Yeah, I agree. Anybody you want to talk about on the bench?
For the Kings bench?
Yeah, not a lot of guys played
really
tonight.
Not much to talk about other than Buddy Hield. I agree with you. Davion Mitchell, I thought, gave them good minutes. I didn't really think that he was this wasn't his best game for me. Davion's best game. It was good to see Alex Len, get some more minutes as well. I expect to see a lot of Alex Len tomorrow because Clint Capella is a beast. Yeah. And Alex Len's really the only guy who has the real size to kind of deal with him inside. So I would expect Alex Len to play probably 22 plus, 23 plus minutes tomorrow night.
I really like Clint Capella. I love his game. I think he fits really well around a team that shoots a lot of threes. So, that's really cool.
Yeah, and an unbelievable rebounder. So,
and yeah, Alex Len 4 for 4 tonight. I thought he played a pretty decent game, but only 18 minutes. He's getting back into the flow of the offense, getting used to the team. But I like what I saw from him. Damian Jones, 29 minutes, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Another learning lesson, as somebody said in the chat, for Damian Jones.
Yeah, pretty good learning lesson when you get to guard LeBron James for the entire night.
Right.
It was funny that the Kings never they don't play inside out. They usually don't have the mismatches inside. Their guards are much better than their front court players. So they're a guard heavy team and a perimeter heavy team. But tonight, especially in the first quarter, it was almost like they didn't really know what to do. They were like, oh man, we've got these great opportunities inside. Sometimes they weren't even seeing them. Like Davion Mitchell didn't even see Damian Jones had, I think it was Talen Horton-Tucker, pinned underneath the basket, doesn't even look at him, because the Kings just aren't used to seeing that. They're not used to being able to play through somebody with their back to the basket on the low block. And I feel like they kind of left a few points on the board there tonight because they weren't looking for that early on. Obviously, Dwight Howard comes in the second quarter, and it's a different story. But I think the Lakers did a good job of throwing the Kings off their game a little bit to start this game. Once guys settled in and the threes started falling, you know, it didn't really matter at that point. But
and LeBron took over the game. What'd you like out of Tyrese Haliburton? What'd you dislike? 35 minutes for him tonight, 3 of 10 from the field, 1 3, only 7 points, 9 assists, 2 turnovers, no steals, no blocks.
Yeah, I didn't really dislike much. I mean, the shots that he took were all good shots. They just didn't fall for him, and he shot the ball really, really well over the past month or so. So, you know, tonight was just an off night for him, but he still is distributing another game with 9 assists. So, you know, and defensively, he wasn't at his best, I felt like, but I didn't think that this was a bad game overall, other than he just shot poorly from the field. He definitely looked frustrated to me, though. I think that he really, really took this game to heart. You know, I saw him sitting on the bench there at the end of the fourth quarter, and he was very visibly upset. I don't know if it was with himself or just the fact that the team, you know, things were starting to unravel for them at that point. And I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, guys wearing their emotions on their sleeves like that, I don't think is a bad thing, as long as it doesn't take you out of the game mentally.
Yep. And
I don't think that Tyrese is that kind of guy. You know, sometimes it can affect your shooting, but for him, again, he was taking good shots. He was just short on a bunch of the shots tonight.
Yeah, and I've seen that from him a couple games this season where he's disappointed towards the end, and, you know, I don't blame him. This is your first, I want to call it, real season in the NBA. There's fans, there's real action. You know, this guy doesn't like to lose games, and the Kings are starting, you know, to spiral a little bit. You know, they've had a couple wins recently, which has kind of put the brakes on that a little bit. But, you know, losses like this really hurt. And when you're in the game, these are the games that you need to win. You really do. And it clearly shows the difference between a Lakers team that has been underperforming this entire season and a young Kings team is that crunch time minutes. The Lakers just made it happen tonight.
The Lakers were well aware, as everybody in the league is at this point too, about what Tyrese has done over the past month and what the Kings are trying to do with him. They really did a good job defending Tyrese in the pick and roll. They were blitzing the pick and roll early. They were able to switch pretty easily because of the lineup that they were playing tonight. And it's very obvious to me that teams, when Tyrese has the ball and they're setting screens for him on the ball, teams are very, very aware and very ready of him trying to make that dump-off pass now. I felt like he could have been a little more aggressive looking for a floater or an open, mid-range jump shot early on in the game, and he was, as Tyrese usually does, he was always looking to make the extra pass instead.
Mike wants to know why Tristan Thompson didn't play tonight.
I think he might be right. Chloe maybe told the Lakers he can't play.
We had that article come out today, right, where he's like admits it that it's his child or something.
He did take to social media today apologizing to Chloe, apologizing to everybody else, I guess. I think we all saw this coming.
I mean, that's the first step when you screw up, right, is apologize.
And Tristan Thompson hasn't been playing for a few games. It's been before today that we haven't seen much of him. I'm not really sure why that is, to be honest with you, but it is what it is.
All right, let's talk about the end of this game. I'm talking about 3 minutes left with this offensive foul on Damian Jones. I think this was his 5th foul, and then he ended up fouling out.
Ends up fouling out after that.
Oh, hold on 1 second, guys. We'll be. What's up, guys? Sorry about that. We are having some technical difficulties. It's getting hot in here, Cal. We started talking about the Kardashians.
Yep.
Started talking about the end of this game, and the camera overheats on us. Thank you guys so much for hanging out for a little bit here. All right, so, Calvin, last 3 minutes of the game, Damian Jones gets called for offensive foul. His fifth foul, ends up fouling out after the next one. Russell Westbrook took some acting classes in LA when he got there, because I thought he did an incredible job playing off this foul that wasn't actually a foul, in my opinion. And I'd have to say, if Doug Christie was coaching, he would have challenged that.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure. I do think that was the wrong call. That charge, or sorry, illegal screen was not the right call.
Yeah. And so then after that, it just compiles. 50 seconds left in the game. Kings are down 6. Inbound the ball to Fox. Fox has the ball in the corner. Tries to throw to HB. Tosses the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, that was actually great defense by the Lakers. They took away the first option, which was to get it to Tyrese. They switched the screen. They left De'Aaron Fox wide open in the middle of the court. But instead of, he was kind of caught in no man's land. He could have veered more towards the basket, which wouldn't have been as easy of an inbounds pass. So he comes to the ball to get it. The problem is when he caught it, he was right next to Harrison Barnes. A ball fake, and then either a drive or a bounce pass around Westbrook to Harrison Barnes would have been the play there. But again, give credit to the Lakers, because Westbrook wasn't even on De'Aaron at that point. He was on Harrison Barnes in the corner. He jumped it as soon as De'Aaron caught the ball and forced De'Aaron into making a poor turnover. So that was not good execution by the Kings, but better defense from the Lakers.
Fox was actually open for a second. He could have shot that ball. Not that I want him taking that shot, but I'm just saying,
yes,
if he were to take the shot, he would have been open.
Not by much. Westbrook really did close the gap there pretty quickly. It would have been a contested shot. Would have been better than throwing the ball out of bounds necessarily, but
yeah. So then the game keeps going. De'Aaron Fox refuses to grab the rebound because of a clock malfunction, and he's trying to get extra time on the clock?
The clock malfunctions because they think that he touches the ball, but he actually doesn't. So the clock starts running, but he hadn't touched it yet. I know everybody early in the chat was already ready to throw arms about this call. You guys are not going to like what I have to say about this, but that was 100% the right call. I've never seen a player do that before. I don't know what De'Aaron was trying to do exactly, because even if they don't,
he pointed it out to the refs.
Right.
Yeah,
but even if they don't start the clock, then he's just standing there with the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
And there's no momentum. The Lakers are still going to get set defensively anyway. So I don't really know what the idea was behind that. But unfortunately, it ended up costing the Kings even more, because that is the right call. If there's a clock malfunction and there's no possession, it's a jump ball.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to grab that rebound. You just got to get it.
They had 2 timeouts at that point. I don't get it. It is really unfortunate, because clearly there were no other players around the ball. The possession, if anything, really is the Kings' possession.
Yep.
But he didn't touch it. So,
I mean, what was he even trying to do? Like, I've never seen a player
I'm really not sure. My only guess is
touch the ball and then point it out to the refs like, hey, I didn't touch the ball, fix the clock.
Yeah, I assume that what he thought was exactly what would happen. They would start the clock, and that the officials would award the Kings the ball side out of bounds, so they got to advance it, and they didn't have time run off the clock on top of that. Plus, they could talk it over, kind of get like a free timeout a little bit. But it totally backfired on him.
Maybe Chris Webber taught him that one.
Somehow I knew you were going to bring that up.
Shots fired. I love Chris. Don't get me wrong. But, pretty wild ending to the game. And then Westbrook misses like 3 free throws in a row.
Even Malik Monk missed a free throw.
And you're like, oh, the Kings still have a chance here. It's still a 5-point game. Yep. Oh, now it's a 6-point game. Oh, they have a chance. And not a good ending to the game. It's the difference between a good and a bad team. That's the difference.
Yeah. In a nutshell, yes.
Yeah. That's why LeBron got rid of J.R. Smith. It's making stupid decisions like that at the end of the game. And I think that this is something that De'Aaron Fox will learn from, and he'll never do this ever again.
I definitely expect him to never do that again.
I don't think anybody on this Kings team will do that ever again. You know, sometimes learning lessons are always important, but sometimes they're more expensive than other times. It was pretty expensive. You know, the Kings probably were not going to win this game.
There's no guarantee that they would have won either way. Yeah.
They're probably not going to win this game. However, you had a chance. And you ruined the chance.
That definitely hurt their chances. I don't know if it ruined the chance, that move all in itself, but it definitely hurt their chances big time.
And I feel bad for the guy because De'Aaron played great in this game.
Yeah.
Played great offensively, 30 points, shot really well, and then the last minute of the game falls apart. I don't think that's really classified as a turnover because he never had possession of the ball, but in my mind, that's 2 turnovers for him in the last minute.
Yeah, it's essentially the same thing as a turnover, and especially because they have to foul right away, and it leads to free throws, even though Westbrook definitely tried to help them out right back by missing a couple. But yeah, I mean, it was a close game. So the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter feel much more important, but the Kings put themselves in a bad spot because of everything they did in the 3 quarters prior to that. Mm-hmm. The turnovers, they repeatedly, Malik Monk was on fire from the beginning of the game, and I constantly saw the Kings helping too much off of him or just leaving him open. They weren't playing the screens well enough. They weren't sending a guy at him immediately. He got a lot of open looks from 3 and was able to really get going. That's just not good defense. It's not good awareness. And the turnovers, again, we keep coming back to it, but that's a huge, huge issue for this team. And they've cost themselves a lot of games this season by committing too many turnovers.
Yes, Sass says, Buddy shoots us in games, Buddy shoots us out of games. We lost when Buddy missed that 3 that led to a 6-point game with less than a minute. The other Fox play didn't matter.
Well, I would argue that the game wasn't lost on either of those 2 plays alone. It's a culmination of a lot of different things, but
yeah, I mean, if you were to look back through this entire game, you could pinpoint and you could say, they missed an opportunity here. They missed an opportunity here. They missed, a loss is not one missed opportunity. Yes, there are those games where you have a chance, like the one where Fox missed the 2 free throws at the end to tie the game. There are those opportunities, but throughout the whole game, there's a lot of things that add up that create a loss.
Absolutely.
And those are just a couple of them. And yeah, JN's right. 18 turnovers cost the Kings the game.
Yeah, just too much. And too many, somebody said unforced turnovers, bad turnovers, whatever you want to call them. The Kings have got to be the leaders in the NBA of those types of turnovers. Those just back-breaking, head-scratching, just downright terrible plays. And some of it is unfamiliarity with the guys. I mean, I saw Damian Jones throw. Marvin Bagley makes a great baseline cut. Damian Jones has the ball in the mid-post area, and he just throws him a terrible pass. It was a bounce pass way too low. Marvin had no chance on it. It's those types of plays that the Kings make far too many times.
Yeah. And also, you can't be disappointed in Buddy Hield for missing a 3 when he shot over 50% from 3 tonight.
He had it going tonight. He absolutely did.
He did his thing. So RP agrees with me. Doug would have trusted Jones and challenged the play.
It's a lot easier said than done to say that. I don't know. Maybe he would have. Maybe he wouldn't have. I'm not really sure.
I think he would have done it because he's a little more engaged than Alvin Gentry, Other than
Alvin looked pretty engaged
I
tonight.
saw him throw the clipboard.
Pretty
Is he gonna get
engaged
fined?
tonight.
I
Yeah.
saw the moment in his eyes as soon as he realized, because he's like, okay, where are we getting the ball? How much time's left? And then all of a sudden it was like a switch was flipped, and it was like, what do you mean it's a jump ball?
Yeah.
What do you mean it's a jump ball? And he goes back there losing it, throws the clipboard, comes back like, okay, you're right. We didn't have possession. How do we move on from here? And then LeBron jumped for the ball like he didn't do at the beginning of the game. But last thing I'm going to say about LeBron, you watch this guy, one of the most important things that LeBron has learned in his career is how to conserve your energy for the final 12 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes of basketball games and have that energy. And that is really, really hard to pace yourself for that. You look at a lot of young guys, they play phenomenal 3 quarters. They get tired in the 4th quarter, and you just can't keep that same intensity going. And that's one thing that LeBron has really adjusted in his game early on, the first stint in Cleveland. Incredible player, but he had these lapses in the 4th quarter or late in games where it kind of seemed like he ran out of gas or ran out of energy. And he's really learned how to pace himself, not only just throughout a game, but throughout a season to be fresh and ready when the playoffs start. And that's something that the Kings need to do, is they need to pace themselves. These young Kings players need to figure out how they can bring the same energy in the 4th quarter that they have in the 1st quarter.
Yeah. I don't know. The Kings need to bring a much higher level of energy for the course of a whole game. I'd rather them get burnt out in the 4th quarter because they're playing so hard defensively for the first 3 quarters. LeBron is an anomaly in every meaning of the word. And it's funny to talk about a guy who has learned to pace himself throughout the course of a game that's averaging 35 and 10 over his last, 8-9 games or whatever it is.
Yeah, JN says, wow, crazy stat on ESPN. Westbrook just snapped a 407-game streak of having a turnover. No turnovers tonight.
I mean, when the ball's in your hands as much as it is in his, just like any other player in the NBA, your chances are you're going to have 1 turnover every game.
Yep. Anything else you want to say about this game? Are you ready to move on to Around the Crown?
I think we can move on. It's unfortunate we can't throw up the Beat LA chants tonight, but
I know I was all ready to change the thumbnail to have crying LeBron on it, but now we got Peja. Doesn't even want to look at the camera. He's embarrassed. Another loss for your Sacramento Kings. But that's okay, guys. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to dive deeper into your Kings and talk about some things, how to make the team a little bit better. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Around the Crown. We're talking all things Sacramento Kings and beyond. Join the Royal family by hitting that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, you might as well smash up that like button. All right, Cal. So we got to remind everybody, again, All-Star voting is currently live. If you think De'Aaron Fox had an awesome game tonight and you want to see him in the All-Star game, cast your vote. You can vote every single day. January 22nd. So we got just under 3 weeks left of All-Star voting. So vote for your favorite Kings. We'd love to see some of them in the All-Star game. I really have no idea at this point who's involved in any of the other activities, dunk competition, three-point competition. I haven't heard anything about those. So let's get some Kings in All-Star weekend however we can.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so one thing I just want to touch on real quick, which I thought was pretty interesting. So, we talked on Sunday about Antonio Brown. And
a lot of people talked about Antonio Brown on Sunday.
His outburst. Tom Brady stuck up for him and said, people need to be kind and caring and, we got to help this guy out and stuff like that. I heard rumors that, he had a tweaked ankle or something and he didn't want to go back in the game because he didn't feel healthy enough, and Bruce Arians tried to send him out there. Blah, 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 drama. Anyways, we all know what happens. Took off pads, took off jersey, walked out. He's no longer on the Bucks. All right? Let's fast forward one more day to Monday night. Where is he? He's in Barclays Center, courtside at the Nets game.
I mean, I don't know. You just got fired.
So this is the wild thing for me. He just came back from getting suspended for having a fake vaccination card.
Yeah, maybe
and Barclays
to go seek out advice from Kyrie Irving.
Barclays only allows fully vaccinated people to play or watch games in Barclays. And Antonio Brown is sitting courtside.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Well, I don't know. I mean, they let him come back to the NFL somehow. Maybe he went and got vaccinated for real.
You don't have to be vaccinated to play in the NFL, though.
No, you don't have to be.
But if I'm Kyrie Irving, I'm like, what is going on? This guy is here. Or I'm like, AB, hook me up with one of those fakes, because they work pretty good if you're getting in.
Maybe he knows that his football career is over, so he's going to try to pursue a career in basketball instead.
He's like, F it. So another stat I saw, Tyrese leads the league in bad pass steals. And he's second in block threes. I thought that was pretty incredible. That shows you right there that Tyrese is just really aggressive on the offensive end of the floor. He jumps these passing lanes. I saw tonight a moment in this game where he tried to do that, and he let his defender right past him, and it ended up being an alley-oop to Dwight Howard, which are plays that I don't like. And right when I was watching that, I was like, oh, that's on Ty.
Well, that's the problem when you play that style of defense, where you try to constantly jump passing lanes and be more like a free safety than an off-the-ball defender in the NBA. Sometimes you look great. Sometimes you don't look so great.
But, the team has praised him. The coaching staff has praised the strides that he's made on the defensive end of the floor. And, leading the league in something, and second in block threes, great stats.
Well, and even more important than that is he's number one in the NBA by a long margin in assists over the last, I forget how many games it is, 10, 11, something like that. I mean, he's got something like 16 or 17 more than Chris Paul. Anytime you're doing that, you're doing something very, very well.
Yep, I agree. Keep it up, Ty. Keep it up. All right, Vinny, can you show my screen here? I was reading a really interesting article this morning. The one player every NBA team needs to trade in 2022. Did you see this article, Cal?
I did not see this.
So it's some pretty interesting stuff here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. So Gallinari for the Hawks. I know I saw Miles Turner in here. Kelly Oubre, I've been a big fan of his. So let's do a little fast forwarding here to the Sacramento Kings. Before I get there, you want to guess who it is?
I was just trying to think. I'm going to say it says De'Aaron Fox because all the other guys make too much sense.
Who do you guys think it's going to be? One player the Kings need to trade. Here we go. MN. Come on, Sacramento. You guys are going to love this. I thought it was a pretty interesting article. Bam. Everyone. But Tyrese Haliburton and Rashawn Holmes.
That's actually pretty funny.
And this is by Bleacher Report. This is a pretty, well-known article. And you keep going on. One player. The
article is called "The One Player That Every NBA Team Needs."
Yeah, and you go to Sacramento Kings.
Titled, I guess.
Everyone but Tyrese, Haliburton, and Rashawn Holmes.
I don't know if that's a dig against the Sacramento Kings or not. It seems only the Kings, right, would be the team that the one player they need to trade is 98% of the team.
So what are your thoughts on this? Sorry, guys, if I'm scrolling too fast for you.
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with this. We've talked about it for weeks on weeks that the Kings need to make moves. and moves plural. Like they have to move multiple guys here because this roster needs some tweaking, some adjusting. I think it would be pretty unprecedented if they actually traded everyone on the team except those two guys in one season. I don't think that's ever been done before in NBA history. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it won't be done again this year. But I think the point is that everybody realizes that this Kings team has a lot of, solid to really solid pieces. It's just the pieces of the puzzle don't necessarily fit together. So now you have to basically start from scratch and rebuild the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised Davion Mitchell's not on here. Because I feel like, why would you trade Davion Mitchell?
Well, certainly the article gave you an answer, right?
It's funny is I saw this title and I was like, I'm not even going to read this. This is ridiculous. Let's see here. Do you think we have a championship team? Interim head coach Alvin Gentry told reporters after the Sacramento Kings December 31st pooping the bed special versus Dallas. No.
Wow.
Let's be realistic. But if we have the guys play to their ability and the coaches do a good job in preparation, game plans, and stuff, then why can't we accomplish what we set out to do? I think that's make the playoffs. I think it's pretty clear here that nobody thinks the Kings is a championship level team.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading this, and the two sentences that stand out the most to me are Sacramento needs to choose a direction, any damn direction at all. That's it.
They must have been watching the podcast because that's what you and I have been preaching for months now. Everyone should be up for grabs, except for probably Tyrese Haliburton. This pains me as De'Aaron Fox. As a De'Aaron Fox forever-er. But it's the truth. Keep Rashawn Holmes, too. He's cheap and good and scalable to a rebuild or team actually capable of winning now. Harrison Barnes is probably the best indicator for an organization. Okay, they can trade him for picks, prospects, cap relief, and signal a rebuild. He's also desirable enough to be the primary outgoing salary in a deal that costs other assets but lands a player who can begin to ferry Sacramento out of, what is that? The feckless state in which they've consigned themselves. Harsh words. All right, Vinny, you can get that. Get rid of that. I don't want to read that anymore. I want to hear what you guys think. If you guys think that that's a good way to go or not, I agree with the part in the article, the Kings need to choose a direction. That's pretty much what I agree with. If I was doing an NBA 2K rebuild on PlayStation, not in real life, I'd probably keep Haliburton, Holmes, Mitchell, maybe Jones. And I'd probably trade everybody else for draft picks, young players, and go from there. Try and sign some guys in free agency. But that's also a video game too. And you know what? In NBA 2K, players sign with the Kings in free agency.
Yeah, they somehow do.
It's pretty wild. Mike says, obviously we can't trade everyone, but they need to make a move ASAP.
They need to try. Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to try to trade everyone.
I don't know if you guys saw tonight, but Monty was in the building.
He was?
He was at Crypto.com Arena. I know it's not a very far trip, but this could signal something. Maybe they're trying to work out a deal with the Lakers.
Maybe.
They play at home tomorrow.
Maybe.
Why would he make the trip for one day to watch his team lose to the Lakers?
I don't know. Hopefully he was working.
And the funny thing about this, Calvin, is the last game that you and I were at was in LA.
Yeah.
Kings, Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
And who is sitting next to us in the stands?
Vlade Divac and Peja Stojakovic.
The GM.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Yeah, it is a coincidence.
I don't know if they made any deals after that. I don't think so. But maybe I'm looking a little bit too far. I'm a NBA trade conspiracy guy. But,
January 18th, right? We got
oh man,
a few more days.
14 days, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. For those of you that, haven't watched all of our streams, I did predict that the Kings will make a move by January 18th. I don't know why. I guess I could just say I felt it. You know, it's like when you're at the blackjack table and you're like, all in. And they're like, why'd you do that? And you're like, I don't know. I just felt it. That's how I feel about that. But I also felt that Walton was going to get fired.
I was just going to say, you're still riding high off your Luke Walton predictions. So
I get one right every, what do they say? A broken clock's right twice a day.
60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, that's me. But I agree. They need to make a move. They need to choose a direction. I like that I've seen Fox play better as of recently, but we still don't see great games from Fox and great games from Tyrese at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I read on Twitter today that those two still have played fewer than it's like 90 games together or something like that. So I don't know, man, but I do know that they just need to make one deal first, and then hopefully that will start the dominoes of the other deals falling into place. But this team as it's built right now is just simply not good enough.
Yeah. And, what did we talk about? If any deal is going to happen first, it's probably going to be a big deal. Like, if you're Monty and you're contemplating trading De'Aaron Fox, why would you want to make another deal? Focus on that one first, because maybe they want a Marvin Bagley in that deal to get something else, or maybe they want Fox and Hield or Fox and Tristan Thompson. So if you're still contemplating that trade, that's the only reason I could think why he's waiting to make a move.
Yeah, it would make sense, I think.
And we still have 10 days here until Rashawn Holmes is unlocked. I think Rashawn and Alex Len, I think both
I think so.
Unlocked and can be traded. And then it's official. The entire Kings roster is trade eligible at that point.
Yeah.
Bagley shoots too many threes. So frustrated with Bagley. It's his time after Walton now, and he's kind of doing it. But if he's going to be great, come on, man, let's ball. Howie Mandel can be the GM. Deal or no deal? I like that. That's hilarious.
I just took care of Howie Mandel in one of my cabanas at the pool the other day.
Oh, yeah?
And his family, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, apparently he's a huge germaphobe.
Yes. I was going to say that. It's funny.
I had to wear gloves and everything going into his... We're outside in the sun and everything. I had to wear gloves. Obviously, I have to wear a mask because you have to wear a mask all the time at work. But
yeah,
it was... I felt weird. I didn't even want to go near him.
That's pretty funny, because as soon as this pandemic started, he was the very first person I thought of. And I was like, oh, we're not going to see Howie Mandel for 5 years. He's going to be in a bubble somewhere.
He was here.
Wow, that's crazy.
Or Christmas and New Year's, I believe.
Interesting. I've never seen him here in Maui. But that's cool. You guys should make it out. Maui's a magical place. Calvin and I run into people all the time. And Vivek has a condo right across the street from us. So that's pretty cool, too. I saw him, not last Christmas, 2 Christmases ago. I ran into him on Front Street. And I was like, hey, what's up? And it was like the one day I'm not all decked in Kings gear. Every day I'm like, Kings, Kings, Kings. I have a Kings tattoo, which is nice. So I always got Kings on. But I'm like walking down Front Street, don't have my Kings gear on, run into him, and I'm like, oh, man, what's up, dude? How's it going? He's like, hey. Kept walking. He's a pretty small guy, dude.
He is a very small guy.
He's very small. I could have rested my arm on him.
Yep.
If we took a photo together. I can only imagine what it's like with him next to some of these basketball players, or when Shaq was a partial owner of the Kings. That's crazy, dude. Shaq's hands got to be bigger than his entire head.
Or
more.
Sure. Definitely.
I don't know if you guys have seen Shaq's shoes, but they're wild. I'm a big sports memorabilia collector, and I have these autographed pairs of Shaq's shoes. They're size 27, and they're this.
They're huge.
They're this big. I'll bring them on the show one time if you guys want to see them. They're crazy. No, Joseph, we're not height shaming anybody.
How tall are you, Joseph?
Speaking of the coincidences, I don't want them to sell the team. Then they're gonna move, man. You don't want that to happen.
I don't know. Maybe.
All right, Cal, how do you feel? You want to fire up the trade machine, or should we move on to Atlanta?
Man, me personally, I'm done with the trade machine.
Okay.
Like, is there any deal that we haven't discussed?
We could talk about, we talked about Russell Westbrook to the Kings. We talked about Kyrie. We talked about Miles Turner, Ben Simmons, all these guys. The Ben Simmons thing is just so crazy. So crazy. Yeah. And, I'm thinking from his perspective.
I'm done with virtual reality trades. I want to see reality trades happen.
That's funny. I'm thinking like this
Even
whole
if it's
time.
a trade that I don't think the Kings won, like I would be happy to discuss a trade that actually took place.
Yeah. I think the Sixers right now are winning the Ben Simmons saga, but once the playoffs start, Ben Simmons is going to be sitting back and being like, you guys wish you would have traded me for some other pieces to help Embiid out.
So I could shoot 30% at the free throw line and cost you a playoff series.
No, traded him.
Oh, you're saying Philadelphia.
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
Yeah, they should have traded him. Yeah. Anyways, Calvin wants to move on. We're moving on. All right, guys, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at the Kings' next game and week of basketball with Kings Crusade. Welcome to Royal Rebounds, a Sacramento Kings YouTube channel for fans by fans. The Kings continue their crusade to get back to the playoffs. Next up is the Atlanta Hawks. If you're a Kings fan, hit that like button. And while you're down there, consider subscribing to the channel. Calvin and I sit up here, win or loss. We drink beers. We take abuse and love from you guys. And we love doing it. So make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. We'll be here. We will definitely be here. All right, Cal, I'm going to let you jump right into your keys to the game.
Back-to-back for the Kings here. They go up against an Atlanta Hawks team that has largely underperformed this season, coming off of an Eastern Conference Finals berth last year. However, the Hawks may be clicking, as we speak. Trae Young is coming off nearly a 60-piece, 56 points just the other day for the Hawks. Obviously, he's a really, really tough person to deal with, and the Kings are going to have to really step up defensively on him, because we saw how much trouble that the Kings had with pick and roll, or not just tonight, but they've had a lot of trouble in the pick and roll defensively all season long. The Hawks run it to perfection with Trae Young and Clint Capella. They're two of the best two-way or two-man game players in the league. So number one is going to be pick and roll defense. They got to figure out how they're going to play this. I would like to see them try to blitz the pick and roll early and push Trae Young back. I know he can hit threes from 35 feet, but I'm much happier with him taking that shot than him patiently probing into the lane for an open floater or an easy lob to Clint Capella. Number two is get to the free throw line. Atlanta is fifth in the NBA in opponents' free throws allowed. The Kings are in the top three, I think, in free throw attempts per game. De'Aaron Fox has done a better job as of late of getting to the free throw line. The Kings need to try to get some fouls early on in this game and get some easy shots at the charity stripe. And then number three is share the ball. The Kings are a much better team when the ball is moving from side to side, when it doesn't stick in one person's hands for any too long period of time. And the Hawks are 29th in the NBA, second to last in assists allowed per game at 26 per game, which means their team defense can be broken down if you work the shot clock, if you work the ball from side to side. That's what the Kings need to do to get good looks at the basket.
Speaking of Trae Young, did you see the game he had yesterday?
Yeah, 56 points.
Crazy. 56 points, 14 assists, and they lose the game.
They did.
They lose the game.
The Hawks have been a really bad defensive team all year long, which bodes well for the Kings because they can score. However, we've seen the Kings lose high-scoring affairs as well. So for both teams, it's going to come down to who can make enough stops.
And that's with no C.J. McCollum and no Dame Lillard.
We're talking about the Blazers or the Hawks?
That game last
Oh,
night.
yeah. Yes,
that they
yes.
won. It's
Yeah,
wild.
Anthony Simons went crazy.
He's
though.
your
He had
guy.
like 43 points.
43
or
points for him. That is wild. So Kings need to focus on him or let him do his thing and don't let anybody else do anything. But I think that kind of signals that, the Hawks, they need to get Trae Young some more help too. We saw them go on a run last season.
They are still missing some guys. DeAndre Hunter has been a really solid player for them. He's one of their best defenders too. He can guard 4 positions probably. He's been out for most of the year, so that certainly hurts them. Bogdanovich has been in and out of the lineup. They've had to deal with COVID and health and safety protocols like every other team. But they are, like I said, they've been underachieving overall as a team because they're a young team, but having that playoff run last year, everyone kind of expected them to vault themselves into the top echelon of this league for a long time to come.
Yeah, so the game is tomorrow, back-to-back in Sacramento. Then the Kings go on Friday to play the Nuggets in Denver, then to Portland on Sunday, then back to Sacramento on Monday to face this huge Cavaliers team that we saw last time that actually upset the Kings. And I wouldn't even call that much of an upset.
It was definitely not an upset.
And then the Lakers, again, on Wednesday, January 12th. It's a tough schedule for the Kings. Not a lot of these games are, I would say none of these games are really easy wins. They're all very challenging games. I like the Rockets game coming up on the 14th. That looks pretty juicy for me. Actually, 2 games against the Rockets, the 14th and the 16th. And then the Pistons. So 3 games there to kind of catch your breath. But you got a bunch of tough games before that, a bunch of tough games after that. It's the NBA season.
Yeah.
It's playing in the Western Conference. If you're going to be a good team in the NBA, you got to beat good teams in the NBA.
Absolutely. And the Kings have dug themselves a hole, getting out to the start that they have, being on the outside looking in of the playoffs and the play-in tournament. So you can't afford to have many more, if any, 3, 4, 5 game losing streaks. That's going to pretty much end your season.
Yep, I
which
agree.
some people might be happy about. I don't know.
All right. Somebody wants you to predict the Kings season record.
Oh, gosh. Well, a lot is going to depend on what type of deals, if any, are made. Are they making a trade that they and we all expect the Kings to be better from and actually have a chance to make a play-in tournament appearance, or are they going to be complete sellers at the trade deadline and just all of a sudden fall into the tank mode or whatever? So,
yeah, are they going right or left? It's choosing the direction.
I'm not really sure. I would have to wait and see. I will predict that the Kings finish the year with a sub 500 record.
Hey, I'm cool with that as long as they win 37 games.
Yeah, right.
I win my bet, and we're going to Vegas in March, so hopefully they can wrap that up before then. Speaking of which, Cal, we need to make a trip to California soon. We need to do a couple games in Sacramento. Maybe we can find a back-to-back, and we need to do our after party at the coin op, and we need to invite everybody to join us.
Coming soon.
Yeah, if that's something you guys are interested in, let us know in the chat or the comments down below. We are going to do a live stream from the coin op. We might even be able to get a VIP list and get some of you guys in for free or not have to wait in line. We'll work on that, but let us know what you guys think. All right, Calvin. Anything else you want to mention? Should we wrap up the show?
Yeah, I think I've exhausted myself enough here.
Calvin doesn't want to talk about any trades. He's tired of talking about trades.
Well, no, I mean, we can talk about more trades. I know everybody wants to, but it just, after a while, it seems kind of pointless. Like,
unless you have any new information.
All these guys that everybody said in the chat, sure, I'd love to have all of them. OG Anunoby would be great. Anthony Davis would be phenomenal. Jaylen Brown, I know everybody wants. That would be great.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, let's get them all. Why not? It just is, we're just spinning our wheels here at this point. Yep.
All right, guys, we will catch you all tomorrow after the Hawks game. We'll be here at 9:30 p.m. California time. So make sure you guys tune in. You'll see the thumbnail up in the next hour or so. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. We're all Kings fans. We all support each other, and we really appreciate you guys so much. So thank you again. Make sure you guys have a safe night. And in the meantime, go Kings.
Go Kings.